Hi guys, Casper MMA here, and today we are back with another UFC predictions video on the channel. Today giving my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Borralho. Now, coming off the back of last week's 305 card, was a pretty decent card to be fair, it was alright. The main event was the real talking point, Dricus du Plessis submitting Adesanya. That was pretty class. But picks wise, it was awful. So many underdogs won, and the underdogs that I did pick lost. So it was a shocking night for betting wise, but we're going to make it back up on this fight night. Now I've got the card up in front of me now. We have 12 fights on this card, and we start off with the early prelim of Wang versus Victoria Leonardo. Now, Wang is 5-0. I think she's coming off the road to UFC or something like that. Yeah, she won a mounted guillotine against Paula Luna. That was her win in the UFC. She's 5-0, pretty decent. Victoria Leonardo 9-5, not a great record to be fair, but as most of women's MMA's got pretty bad records. She is now 1-3 in the UFC. She won on the Contender Series, but then has lost a lot since. So I think I'm going to go with Wang with this pick. Seems the pretty safe option, 5-0. Looks pretty decent. She's coming off a submission win, and I think she wins by submission in this fight. So move up the card to Zigimantas Ramaska versus Nathan Fletcher. Now, that guy, this Lithuanian guy, has the hardest name I've ever tried to pronounce. Zigimantas. What the hell is that? 9-2. Looks decent. It's his first fight in the UFC. Never heard of him before. He's coming off Blade fights, where he's won a lot of KO wins. He's got 5 wins by KO, 4 by submission. He can do it all, it seems. He doesn't have any decision wins, so this guy is looking for a finish. Nathan Fletcher, another Englishman fighting, 8-1. Seems pretty decent. He's got a lot of submission wins, especially he's in Cage Warriors, a lot of rear naked chokes, 1 loss to a head kick. It's a tough one to be fair. They've both got like similar records, both not got like any experience in the UFC, because I think they're both first fights in the UFC now. Yeah, so I don't really know what to pick here, but I think I'm going to go with... I want to back the Englishman, but then I think Ramaska is slightly better, so I'm going to go with Ramaska here, and I think he might get it done by knockout or submission. Who knows? But yeah, probably going to be a finish in this fight, I'm going to say. So, move up the card to Josiane Nunes versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Now, Portuguese Cavalcanti, 6-1 in women's MMA, not too bad. Just coming off a win against Zara Fern in the UFC. That's her only fight, and in the UFC, Josiane Nunes, 10-2. She's also beat Fern as well, so they both beat Fern in the UFC. She's got a few more fights, 3-1, which I think I am leaning towards Nunes on the experience side in the UFC. I think she might be slightly older as well. She's 30. Cavalcanti is, how old is she? 26, yeah, so bit of experience difference. So I'm going to go with Nunes here. I feel like she's just been in the UFC longer. She's got more experience sometimes plays out well in women's MMA. So yeah, that's my pick for this fight. Women's fight, you never really know what's going to happen really, unless they're like finishing loads of people like Wang. So yeah, I'm going to go with Nunes here. So next up on the card we have Vyacheslav Borschev versus James Llontop. Now, I can see this fight going either way, if I'm being honest. Llontop is alright. He's not great, to be honest. We saw him lose to Chris Padilla. He won on the Contender Series and lost by rear naked choke to Chris Padilla. So we haven't seen much of what he can really do inside the octagon. Whereas Borschev, we know he's a dog. He's an animal. I think I picked him to beat Chase Super, which was a bad mistake, because Chase Super just decided he could throw hands for once, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, his draw to Sadikov was classic. I mean, Borschev just is like an animal in there. He can just fight. Like it's hard to like put him out, to be honest. So like he's never been KO'd, so that's fair enough. I don't know who to go with here, because neither of these two looked good in the last fight. Both finished by submission, but I think I'm going to go with Borschev here. I think he's just going to get the job done. Maybe by decision, maybe by knockout, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just don't think Llontop is as good as Borschev is. Borshev's a scrapper. I feel like it's going to be a scrappy fight, and Borshev's going to come out on top. So we move up the card to Jose Medina versus Zach Reese. Now I feel like this is a layup for Reese, if I'm being honest. Like, Medina isn't great. I mean, he lost on the Contender Series to a decision to Gadzhigulyanov. You don't even try to expect me to pronounce that. But yeah, apart from that, he's just fought in a bunch of different promotions. He's got quite a few wins by KO and that. But Zachary Reese, apart from that bloody lost to Cody Brundage, which is a fluke win, we'll say, he absolutely like destroyed that Julian Marquez uppercut. It was beautiful. I feel like this is a nice little layup for him. He's going to get the job done, and he's going to get another KO in his record. So I'm picking Zachary Reese. Now, move up the card to Dennis Buzukja, I don't know how you say that, versus Francis Marshall. Now, not too sure on this one, to be honest. Records, Buzukja is coming off a win against Conor Matthews, knockout. Lost to Jamal Emmons and Sean Woodson before that, though. Marshall 7-2. Coming off lost to Isaac Dulgarian. Dulgarian's pretty good, though. Splits into William Gomez is decent. Beat Rojo by punches. He also beat Conor Matthews on the Contender Series. Conor Matthews isn't having a good time for these two fighters. It's a close one, this one. I'm not too confident on this pick, but I'm going to go with Francis Marshall, I think. They're both 1 and 2 in the UFC. Not much to pick between them, but I just think Marshall, slight favourite, and yeah, I think he gets the job done here. So we move up the card to Edmund Shabazyan versus Gerald Meerschaert. GM3 is back, baby. Let's go. Don't know about this one. It might be a good fight, this. You never know. But Shabazyan isn't great. He's 6-4 in the UFC. I thought he was good, like quite good, but then like he's lost like 1, 2, 3, 4. He's lost like 4 in a row almost. That like AJ Dobson win was quite fluky as well, because like Dobson was like beating him on the feet, I think, especially with like and then he knocked him out or something. Can't really remember the fight, but I remember he was losing the fight until he knocked him out. Meerschaert, we know who he is. 36-17. A bit of an interesting record. He's coming off a win by submission to Barberena. There is always a chance that Meerschaert gets this job done by submission. He's got 28 submission wins. It's crazy. But that's the thing. Like, he's obviously not going to be as good on the feet, so he's not going to worry Shabazyan like that. But I just don't think Shabazyan's that good. So I might actually pick the underdog here. I'm going to go with Meerschaert. Gets the job done by submission. You know, there is a chance it happens, and yeah, I'm here for it. So let's go with Meerschaert on this pick. I don't know how much of an underdog he is. I don't think he's that much, but yeah, I'd put some money on that. So we move up the card to Michael Morales versus Neil Magny. A decent little fight here. Neil Magny, the ultimate gatekeeper at the minute. He's such an interesting record. Like his entire record is like one win, like win loss. It's crazy, and I don't know how he pulled that win against Mike Malott out of the bag. That was crazy. But Michael Morales on the advance, 16-0, looks pretty decent. I can't really pick against him. I'm going to go with Morales here. Although Magny, you never know what he's going to do. You might pick against him, like I picked Malott, and he just pulls out whatever he did and just beats him. But I can't see Morales losing. He just is like a clean boxer and kickboxer. He just is a pretty good fighter. So yeah, I see him defeating Magny here. Magny's getting on his 37 now. So yeah, Morales is the pick here. So we move up the card to Khan Ofli versus Myron Santos. Now, can't say I'm too familiar with these guys. Khan Ofli, 11-2. It's his first fight in the UFC. He's coming off some regional promotion called Hex Fight Series. Can't say I've ever heard of that. But he looks decent. He's got a few submission wins and that. So he's fighting Myron Santos, who is 13-1. Decent record. Coming out of LFA. It's also his first fight in the UFC. I think there's a couple fights now on the card that like both of them are first fights in the UFC. So I think this Santos guy, 13-1, bit of a better record. Looks pretty decent, to be fair. Only lost one fight to Dan Argueta, who is actually in the UFC, to be fair. So that's not a bad loss if we think about it. And he's got a lot of KO wins and decision wins. So I'm going to go with Santos here. I'm not too sure how it's going to go. I've not really seen either of these fights, but from the records, I think Santos has the better record. That's all I've got to go off. So Santos is the pick there. So moving up the card to Ryan Loder versus Robert Valentin. Now, Loder, 6-1, not a bad fighter, to be fair. It's his first fight in the UFC. 4 KOs, 2 decisions. Robert Valentin, Swiss man, I don't know if there's many Swiss people in the UFC. To be fair, is Ozdemir Swiss? Maybe I can't really remember. He's also his first fight in the UFC. There's so many of these. Like, how many people are just like they're just throwing random fighters onto this card now. I don't know who these guys are, but this guy's a submission artist, 6 wins by submission. Got a lot of rear naked chokes and stuff about. Seems decent. It's tough. This one's another tough one. There's a lot of tough matchups here to pick from because like I've not watched much of these fighters because I don't really watch like these random promotions they're fighting in. But from what I'm looking at, I think I'm gonna pick Loder here. He's 6-1. Looks all right to be fair. Doesn't look too bad. I think did he fight on like he fought on UFC Fight Pass or something. I'm not really sure. He's fought something to do with UFC before. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Ryan Loder on this one. It's a tough one to pick, but I think Loder gets the job done. So we move up to the co-main event: Angela Hill versus Tabitha Ricci. Angela Hill fighting again. She's like, I don't know how old is she now. 39, getting on a bit. 17-13 is a crazy record. All the fights literally goes to decision as well. It's gonna be she's coming off 2 wins to be fair. A guillotine and a decision. Tabitha Ricci 10-2, much younger I think. I don't know how much younger, but she's 29, so there's a 10-year difference on it. And sometimes experience pays, but I don't think it's going to happen this time. I think Ricci's going to get the job done here. I mean, Angela Hill could easily win this. She's coming off 2 wins. Ricci's only coming off 1, I think, which is a split decision. But I do just think Ricci will be the younger fighter here, so I think she gets the job done. It could go either way to women's fight, let's be real, but Ricci is my pick. So, we move up to the main event. Jared Cannonier versus Caio Borralho. And I think it is a pretty, like, easy pick, like, to be honest. Like, Borralho is almost undefeated, 16-1. 1 loss coming in his second fight in professional MMA, so it's fair enough. He's also lost to Jelena Almeida in grappling, but that's it. He's won every other fight. He beat Olisejchuk, Haris Magomedov, that was good, Alan Petrosian, Paul Craig, that was a nice, KO. Cannonier's good, but he is coming off that, everyone calls it an early stoppage against Imavov. It was early, but he was still rocked against Imavov, so it didn't look well, and he's like 40-year-old. Yeah, he's 40-year-old now. I just feel like he's Caio Borralho fighting nerds are like on top at the minute. I feel like he's gonna get the job done. I don't know if it's gonna be. I don't think he's gonna get the KO, but I feel like he's Borralho by decision is the pick for me. So there are my picks for UFC Fight Night: Cannonier versus Borralho. Make sure you go down below and comment if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. And that is all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.